Folks, welcome back. Today I am reading from the Osho Zen Tarot. I don't have the packaging with me today, but I've laid your cards out in a Celtic cross. Right now you've got as your central theme, the middle card of your cross, you've got laziness. This is the Nine of Water for the Osho Zen Tarot. It's a little bit different of a version from the Rider-Waite-Smith, but a lot of the same principles apply. With the Nine of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the conventional wisdom is that man sitting on the bench needs to be careful because at any point those cups could tip over and things are over. His happiness goes out the door. It's a reminder not to place our happiness in external objects. But with the Osho Zen Tarot, this particular individual is on the edge of something shattering. There's some broken glass that is moving towards him as he sits in his seat. He's very comfortable right now, but because he's stagnant, he's not moving forward anymore. And I know you can't see this, but in the card, there's a very tiny bird in the sky that's meant to encourage him to get up out of his seat, tell himself that he's not done with his journey yet. And so he needs to keep moving forward. He needs to be flying free like a bird and not be stagnant. This is someone who needs to come to peace with the fact that there are ups and downs to life and that we need to ride with the flow of it at all times, even when it's difficult. Also, being in a happy place, there's also something to be said for being aware that it won't always last, that there will come other happy times, but also low points in your life. And that's just how things should go. You're not meant to stay stagnant even when it's painful, okay? Your crossing card is the Eight of Clouds. This is guilt. This particular figure has hands coming out of her own head and clawing at her face. This is absolutely self-sabotage. We are our own worst enemies. And I wonder if you're not staying stagnant in a tight place because it brings you some sort of relief. There might be some kind of message involved where you're telling yourself that your stagnancy brings you peace, it brings you hope. But I also wonder what is really bringing you guilt about this situation. In your past, you've got change. So I wonder if there weren't some things in your present situation that you feel like were given to you quite peacefully compared to some of your friends who maybe had to fight for the things, for the emotional stability. This is also about emotional stability, at least for the moment. I wonder if you don't feel some degree of guilt for having things that other people around you don't necessarily have. This is about a lack of adventure in the future. There's the real risk that you don't go out on this adventure that you're meant to have, to kind of break away from the routine, to allow new things into your life that might be upsetting, but there's something that's going to release some degree of guilt. Like, you should be changing. You should be growing and finding out new things when it comes to some degree of emotional stagnancy. Like, you should be doing this, and it's tearing at you that you aren't moving forward. But here, you're being encouraged to take on the energy of the Page of Rainbows in this particular case, and to go exploring. And there might be some surprises, both nasty and good, but in any case, you're being asked to move forward into a beautiful new adventure for yourself. And this might be hard. This might be going above and away from expectations that are normal in your culture, in your society. This could mean coming out of the closet. In fact, if you are in the closet and if this reading is about you coming out, this makes a whole lot more sense. Times have changed. They've not necessarily gotten better in a lot of different places, and in other places things have gotten better for the LGBT community. But I think that this reading makes sense considering it's Pride Month and there may be somebody who's watching right now who needs to think about coming out of the closet, and it's kind of a difficult thing to do. This isn't so much about, this is about laziness to a certain degree, but it's also about staying in what makes you emotionally comfortable and not moving out of a space that is too small for you. At some point, things are going to catch up and you're not going to be able to stay seated in that comfortable seat for much longer. You're going to need to move out. I wonder if this doesn't have to do with society's and your culture's expectations when it comes to being in the closet and being out of it, being in the LGBT community. There may be someone that I'm speaking to who could be bisexual and is wrestling with the idea of whether to talk about this to begin with. You're still being encouraged to go on this adventure. It's hard. I understand from personal experience. I'm in the LGBT community. It's hard being in where I live. It's hard in my society. It's hard in my culture being out. There is a price to pay. And I wish I could say that it gets better. And in a sense, it does. Your sense of identity evolves the longer that you stay in it, the longer that you work with it and become comfortable with it, the easier it becomes to be you. But I'm not going to lie to you, it is difficult at times, not always. I wondered why I was given the deck with the rainbows. In your conscious position, you've got projections. I've sensed this as someone who relies a great deal on how society sees them in order to feel like they're surviving. This is the Seven of Water. This is the Seven of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's about seeing things not very clearly because you're so caught up in your own head, you're so caught up in your emotions around your identity that it's much easier to consider what other people think about you than it is to think about your own comfort in your own skin. I recognize that this is hard. And here you are, the stranger at the gate. I'm sorry. But I gotta say, that lock is not locked. You can choose to pull down the chain and go in. You don't have to stay outside. You are going to be an outsider to a lot of different people. I'll tell you that from experience, from living in a very conservative area and through a conservative era that feels like it's rapidly getting worse. But you can do this. Entering one community means you leave another, and there is a price to pay for that, I promise. I can speak from experience. I shouldn't promise anything, but I speak from experience. There is a price to pay for this. You still need to move forward. Okay? You still need to move forward. It's important. You need to be truthful and honest with yourself, basically. And also, in your advice card, by the way, this was in your subconscious position. You feel like you're an outsider, both in the community that you occupy in, and you're an outsider to the LGBT community, okay? Your advice card is possibilities. Considering what cool things are possible when it comes to you coming out. It's not always going to be bad stuff. Yes, there are going to be some tough parts to it. I'm not going to lie to you. But with the Two of Fire and the Page of Rainbows, I should say, this is something that you need to seriously dream about, not just plan for, but you need to participate in dreaming about how cool it's going to be once you go down this path. This is your environment card. It's breakthrough. This particular figure is getting out of chains. Sorry. You've got chains right here, and you've got chains right here. You can do this. I see that you're in the process of doing this. And I hope that you actually do that, because I wonder if you aren't seeing that the writing's on the wall there with the laziness card. Things are breaking. Excuse me. Things are breaking. And it's time to move forward. You can feel that, like you're tired of staying stagnant in this particular case, but you're also freaking out about what people are going to think about you. Here's projections. Here's guilt. Okay? You're all up in your head about what people are going to think about you. Spirit asked me if I was ready for this reading. I guess I'm not. Here are your hopes and your fears. Ace of Wands, or the Ace of Fire in this particular case. You're terrified of taking action. No doubt about it, there's a cost to coming out, but the cost is even greater if you stay in the closet. Okay, I promise you. It is so much better to live your truth and pay the price of people saying fuck you. You can say fuck you to them too. They have no business being in your life if they dislike you for who you are. And here's your outcome. A whole new vision, a whole new way of seeing things, a way of doing things. There's a figure who is stuck to the earth, who has vines growing around their figure, and then there's one who is about to take flight. They have wings growing from their arms. Things have finally balanced out. You are who you are. You understand who you are, and now you can really be who you're meant to be. Okay? So start dreaming about your future. Actually do the process of coming out of the closet. Even if it costs, you need to get to a safe place and you need to do this. And as you do so, you're going to have a better understanding of who you are as a person, and you're going to be able to start growing into your true self, who has been hiding this whole time because it's not been safe, or it doesn't feel socially appropriate, or fill in the blank. I hope you do come out. I'm going to close out this reading with Happy Pride Month. Take care.